Today I'm going to talk about ITX motherboard. Recently I'm building a system for my friend. He has a limited budget, but he would like to have a mini form factor instead of a standard ATX form factor. So after some research, I noticed that in Malaysia, only one company that has cheaper option of ITX motherboard, because usually like Gigabyte, Asus, MSI, they all have more expensive around. I think the cheapest ITX range around like 500 ringgit or to 600 ringgit something, which is around 150 US dollar. So only one company, which is Asrock, they offer cheaper option, roughly like 300 something ringgit Malaysia, while I got it around, I think less than 100 US for that motherboard. It is a Asrock H310CM ITX AC motherboard. AC means this motherboard came with AC Wi-Fi built-in adapter. Pretty good. Consider the price. Let's dive into it. Today we are going to look at the budget ITX motherboard that supports 9th gen Intel processor. It is a Asrock H310CM ITX AC. This motherboard cost me around 400, almost 400 ringgit, which is maybe less than 100 US dollar. Comes with basic features, but it's more than enough for an ITX user. Comes with a driver CD, a manual, and the best part is this motherboard came with a screw for M.2 SSD. So for those that would like to use the SSD, it's more convenient for you guys. And then it comes with a Wi-Fi antenna, because this motherboard supports Wi-Fi, AC Wi-Fi. And it comes with a standard backplate, nothing fancy, and two SATA 2 cables. So next up, you can see the motherboard itself. Nothing fancy, because this is a budget ITX motherboard. It is a cheapest ITX motherboard that you can find that supports 8th gen and 9th gen Intel processor. Okay, let's take out the motherboard. Okay, so you guys can see, nothing fancy. Comes with heatsink at the power chart. So pretty basic layout. One PCIe slot for the graphic card, and then the back I/O also quite basic. You get 3 types of video display output: HDMI, DVI, and DisplayPort. 2 USB 2.0, 2 USB 3.0, and the Wi-Fi and basic audio, as well as the keyboard and mouse PS2. So you can see there are 4 SATA port for your hard drive, and then one USB 3.0 front panel, and then this is the power. Very basic. For those that would like to find a budget ITX motherboard, is more than enough. And this motherboard is standard 24x24. So if you want to get the casing, you have to watch out whether it can fit or not. guys have a look at the motherboard. These are the pins and the ports. These are the front panel pin, and those are the audio pin, HD audio, the front panel. Good thing about this motherboard is the pins and ports are the side. For cable management sake, it is very neat and convenient. The only pins that at the middle is the speaker and the clear CMOS, which we are unlikely to use every day. This motherboard came with built-in Wi-Fi and Bluetooth. Wi-Fi is Wi-Fi AC, so it is dual channel. You can receive 2.4 GHz as well as 5 GHz dual channel Wi-Fi. But as you guys can see, the ports actually not really in the ideal part because it might blocks the USB ports. Okay, this motherboard cheaper than like Asus, MSI, Gigabyte, but of course it comes with less fancy stuff. Like when you look about the back plate, it's very plain. It's like a normal budget motherboard back plate without any design or fancy thing like Asus ROG. Of course, you are paying for much more extra compared to this Asrock. But for those that would like to have a cheap mini option, I think this is more than enough. If you like to have a fancy thing, maybe you can go to Asus, Gigabyte, MSI. But for normal user, I think Asrock is more than enough. And good thing about this, because the motherboard, usually when we talk about like DIY user, now you guys will have like cable management concern. So for this motherboard, the ports, the pins, mostly at the side. So it's easy for you guys to reroute the cable to have your mini casing less messy, because mini casing is very space constrained. Because if you want to have a better airflow, it's better to have those cable height at the side without blocking the airflow. But mini casing is very hard to do it. So if the pins are at the middle of the motherboard, or maybe cross around, like some motherboard we can see, like budget motherboard, it will be very hard for you to do the cable management properly. So you see some people that have mini casing, mini ITX casing, they have very messy cable management. Yeah, of course, some of them they don't have good cable management skill, but the motherboard plays an important part. And this Asrock, even though it's a cheaper option of ITX, but the design is good enough. But one thing that I don't like is maybe I'm nitpicking, just that the CMOS battery doesn't look very good. It looks flimsy, tied with a cable at the middle. So maybe Asrock can just fix it there, then make it more appeal to the overall design. Other than that, nothing bad about this motherboard. Maybe you guys can consider if you want to have a cheaper ITX motherboard. This motherboard, actually the model that I purchased is H310CM ITX AC. There is another one, it's called H310M ITX AC. One of them supports initially only supports 8th gen. The other one supports 9th gen Intel processor, but when I cross-checked with the website recently, both of them support 8th gen and 9th gen Intel processor. So maybe you guys have to check properly before purchase, because we don't know, some of the reseller they selling the old stock. So it's better for you guys to check with the reseller or the shopkeeper to see what is the BIOS that came with the motherboard. Nothing much. A good budget ITX motherboard for those that don't want extra features, just want to save money and run the system. So guys, if you like my video, subscribe, give a thumbs up. Let me know what your thought down below in the comment section. Then I'll try my best to get it done for you guys. As always, stay safe. Peace.